Now, the next thing we have to look at is a while loop. There's this thing called an infinite while loop or an infinite loop, and while loops are perfect for this. So imagine you're building a system that you want to run from now until the end of days, until the world ends. Perfect thing to use for this is a while loop. So I could say while 1, and whatever I put after this will keep working. So if I say print runs tech hub is amazing, right? I'm going to press F5 and take a look at my console here, and also take a look at my scroll bar here. So when I press F5, this is going to start running, and this will never, ever, ever, ever stop running until my PC is broken, until there's no electricity to keep running my PC, or until my PC runs out of RAM and just crashes completely. This program will never stop running. So that's one of the ways that people use while loops. That's one of the ways that people use while loops. So I'm going to press stop up here. I'm going to come back and I'm going to change this. Where it says while 1, I can also change this to while true. And this surprisingly will do exactly the same thing as the while 1 or while true. Because what you're saying is, if electricity is present, if the computer is on, if Python is working, while those things are true, keep running. Never stop running until I tell you. So I'm going to press F5 again, and you're going to see the while loop run. Run, 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 and it will never, ever, ever, ever stop. Now, this is not a great way to use a while loop, obviously. So I'm going to show you guys typically an example of where someone might use a while loop. This is my Word document. I made some notes. I'm going to copy this into my Python file. At the top, I'm going to add a while loop program. While loop program. I'm going to add the date, and the date today is the 13th of the 11th, 2022. And King Boss, aka runs tech hub, something like that, right? That's fine. I'm going to ask for user input. So let me explain what I'm going to do first. I'm going to ask for user input, and I'm going to say if that user input is not equal to runs tech hub, for example. So I'm going to ask for a username. And if your username is not equal to runs tech hub, I'm going to have the program ask you that same question 1,000,000 times. It will never stop asking that same question. So not really 1,000,000, but infinity times. So let's start. Now, this is also going back to getting user input, which we've done before. And we're going to use an if statement to check, and well, a while loop to check and all of that stuff. So I'm going to say user input equals. So again, the variable name is called user input. A single equal sign assigns a value. So wherever you see a single equal sign, you're telling something to be equal to something else. The double equal sign, remember where we did the relation operations, I believe is called, where we're comparing whether two things are equal. So user input equals input. I'm getting stuff from the keyboard in this case. Please enter your username. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dots. I'm going to run this. F5 to run. Enter my username. I'm going to call myself Bob. Press enter. Nothing happens. That's fine. I didn't want anything to happen. So now I'm going to just print this because, as you guys know, I like printing stuff. User input. And again, to do code completion, you press Control on your keyboard and press spacebar. So I'm going to do that one more time. I'm going to type USE. Imagine I had loads and loads of things called username, user input, user value, user age, and I wanted to just choose one from a list. What I would do, I would start typing the thing I want to choose from the list, press Control on my keyboard like I'm doing now, and I'm going to press space on my keyboard as well, and it comes up with every single thing. So I simply have to choose user input because that's the only thing I have here. But if you had more variable names with the word USE at the beginning, or I believe at the end as well, it will actually search and show the entire list here. So code completion is going to be very, very useful, especially in an exam. I recommend everyone turn it on. Print user input. I'm going to press F5. Code runs again. I'm going to type my name, Bob the Builder, B-U-I-L-D-E-R. Press enter. It prints Bob the Builder. Nothing is done yet. Now I'm going to use my while loop. This is where the while loop comes in very, very handy. I'm going to say while username is not equal to what I want it to be equal to, ask the question again. So I'm going to put a space bar here. Well, put a few lines of space there. I'm going to say while user, again, Control space to get that up. While user input is not equal to, what did I say? Runs tech hub. And the uppercase and the lowercase stuff doesn't matter here. Now, there is a way to make everything lowercase. So whatever the person types in, we can make all of it lowercase. I'm going to show you that in a few minutes as well. While user input is not equal to runs tech hub, I want the program, so I'll put my colon here, to keep asking for user input. Or maybe say something funny as well. So silly person, that's not the user input. Silly human, that is incorrect. So RECT, yep. And this will never stop asking. So let's run this and let's see if it actually works. Press F5 on my keyboard. Enter username. So this is the first one here running. So that's the first one they're asking for my username. So I'm going to say Bob. I know that shouldn't work. I'm going to press enter. It prints Bob here. Then it goes straight to the while loop. And because my user input, what I typed in was Bob, it's not equal to runs tech hub. So it's going to say this because this is inside my while loop. Just like we did for if statements and for loops, whatever we have indented inside the while loop or the for loop or the if statement, that's what's going to happen next. Silly human, that is incorrect. I'm going to type it wrong again. B or B. Oh, look, it's going to keep asking. So I'm going to keep typing in rubbish, keep typing in the wrong thing. I'm just tapping on my keyboard, being crazy. I'm going to keep typing, this will never, ever, ever stop asking. Now, eventually, with enough millions of years go past, this program will probably eventually stop running, right? I'm going to stop typing now because I've proved my point. My point's been proven, hopefully. So now I'm going to type RONSTECHHUB in the case format that it's supposed to be in. And again, R is capital, T is capital, and H is capital. Now, when I press enter, nothing is going to happen in this case because I haven't said what should happen. I've just said while user input not equal to runs tech hub, user input ask the question again. So when I press enter, nothing happens. The program stops. That's it. So I tell the program how to stop as soon as I do the while loop. Now, if I wanted my program to have a sensible output, I can do one other thing. I could do something like if user input does equal to run, let me just copy this because I am lazy. If it does actually equal to runs tech hub, say something different. Maybe say something along the lines of, oh, human, you're not so silly after all. So print human, you are not so silly after all. Full stop, right? Let's run that. Now, the first time it's going to ask me, fine, it's not going to say anything about silly human. I'm going to type person, I don't know, person A, right? Press enter. It asks me silly human. That is incorrect. And it's going to keep asking. And again, I'm going to do it the wrong way first. Again, I'm doing it the wrong way. This is dozens of times being done the wrong way. Now I'm going to do it the right way. Even if you press enter, so even if you don't type anything, that's still something that the computer can detect. So now I'm going to type runs tech hub, press enter. This is what we should see. Human, you are not so silly after all. Press enter. There we go. This works perfectly fine. So let me go over this one more time just to make sure everyone gets it. The comments at the top, not important at all because we should all know how to comment by now. This is stuff that the program or the compiler or Python does not even look at. This is just notes for us to program, all right? After that, we have asked the user for input. So I say user input equals input. So I'm asking for keyboard input or button input, let's say. Please enter your username. This is what's shown on the console. Let me just run the program one more time and go through a step at a time. This is actually what's shown on the console. So the quotes don't show, but the dot show and the please and enter your username shows. Everything else shows. After that, I'm going to type my name, Bob. What should happen, it should print whatever I've typed in the very first time. So I'm going to press enter on my keyboard here. It prints Bob, but it also says silly human. That is incorrect because I have a while loop here to catch that statement. So while user input is not equal to runs tech hub, do all of this. And what I've said to do is to ask for user input again. And I say user input equals input, again, keyboard input being asked for here. And I put the message on screen. Now, the message on screen is not entirely necessary for us, the programmer, because we know what is necessary. We know what we need to enter. We know what should come next. But imagine you ran a program with no messages there for, I don't know, an English teacher who's never programmed before. They're not going to understand what's going on. They're not going to be able to maybe look at the code and understand fully. In most cases, I'm not saying English teachers don't know how to program, but I'm just saying, hypothetically speaking, right? User input equals input. Silly human, that is incorrect. Maybe I should put please try again. Please try again, or just say try again. because we're saying silly human. We don't need to say please, right? And then I say if user input is then equal to runs tech hub. So this will never happen unless we do it wrong the first time. If it is right the first time, it won't even get to here. None of this will work if it is right the first time. If it is incorrect the first time, then it will ask and ask and ask and keep asking until the end of time. If it is then done correctly while we're asking again and again and again and again, what will happen? We're saying if user input is actually equal, so that's why we have double equals here. Remember, the single equals is how you assign a value to a variable. The double equal is how you check if that variable or if that value is equal to something else. So I'm saying if user input, what I've typed in now, is equal to runs tech hub, exactly how it's typed in here, then print human, you are not so silly after all. So let me run this program again. If it runs, yep. Please enter your name. I'm going to say run. That's definitely wrong. Even if I do runs tech and I do hub as lowercase, so this H is the wrong H, I'm going to press enter. It's wrong because it's told me, well, I've specified in my program exactly how it should be typed, and it must match exactly. So now I'm going to press enter, 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 nothing at all taken in. Now I'm going to say runs tech hub. Press enter. There we go. Program works. So this is typically how a while loop works. And again, a while loop can be used for an infinite loop to make sure that the program keeps running. So for people doing unit 19 in BTech level 3 IT, you might want to use an infinite loop so that the embedded system or the detection system that you create is always running. For people doing BTech level 3 engineering unit 6, you might want to use an infinite while loop to make sure that your code is always running. So once the system starts, the code is just always running. For people doing BTech level 3 IT unit 4, you could do the same thing. It doesn't specify that the code has to run. It doesn't specify for any of them, to be fair, but it might make sense as well. So that's how a while loop works. I'll do some more examples as I do projects to explain how it works, and hopefully you guys understood this. So thanks for watching.